Good?
Yep. I don't
Hell
know how
yeah.
many I shot.
Yep.
Hold on. Give me a second.
Yep.
All right. Good.
Yep. Holy shit. God damn. I've been thinking about what it means for people to be at their best and worst place in life, and how different the implications really are depending on which one you're at. Because human beings aren't like binary good or evil. We seem to be exceptionally good at presenting inordinately different things depending on the circumstances. That's the adaptability of humanity. Either you adapt to very bad conditions in a way that brings out very bad aspects of yourself, or you adapt to very good conditions in a way that brings out the best aspects of yourself. There's a caveat here, and that's people who don't really try. And so even in what would otherwise be the best circumstances for them, they don't choose to be their best selves. They don't let those circumstances facilitate the best version of themselves. They lay down and rot regardless. They don't give themselves a chance. There are people like that. Just as much as there are people who fight and fight and fight, even in the absolute worst circumstances that make doing many things very, very difficult, or sometimes impossible. These things exist on a spectrum. However, I think the dynamic that I'm laying out is pertinent, because when I look at who I was, staying in that room all the time for years and years, really I spent my whole life with no IRL friends, but the longer I was in that room, the more I saw myself, the things that made me who I was, dissipate, fall apart. And it was a disheartening kind of experience, because as you find your executive functions laying by the wayside, and it harder and harder to do more and more things, you begin to believe that that's all you are. That the worst place that you've landed in, worse than you've ever been at before, is, all you're ever gonna be. Because who wants to struggle to be who they used to be? It feels like, or to be where they used to be at. Because then it feels like you're just a poor imitation of yourself. And no one wants to be that either. And it only increases this cycle of not changing anything. You only get worse as a result. I was lucky in the sense that I gave myself a chance. I came out here to Wyoming with someone I have a very good rapport with, someone I get along with very well, someone I can talk to on a much deeper level than almost anyone I've met. There's very few people who compare. I've come out here and I work every single day. I have a job now, but before I got the job, I was out looking every single day, phoning the various establishments that I was seeking employment at, constantly checking the listings, if not online, then in person, in the paper, wherever I could find it, doing every single thing I could to be proactive in gaining employment, proactive in myself, in my own life. And then I did. I got a job. I wouldn't have been able to imagine being that motivated, or really motivated at all, if not for the fact that I was here. I was here and I found my social anhedonia being cured, my general anhedonia being cured, because I had someone to talk to, someone I could be motivated by having around, that out of respect for him, I ended up getting myself out of bed in the morning and then doing what was required of me. And then eventually that respect for him became respect for myself, because it then became, oh yeah, I'm not just doing this for him. There's two people here and one of them's me. Most people, they have to put one foot in front of the other because they said to, and the people around them are an afterthought. I don't really work like that. I'm a generally pretty social person. I'm motivated a lot by these social connections that I have. And as a result, he motivated me. And that allowed me to enjoy things again. Because sure, it was hard at first. I had to do the grueling parts. But then once you do the grueling parts, you get to the satisfying part, the fulfilling part. The part where you can say, oh shit, I made something. I did something. I completed something. I accomplished something. And then you don't want to stop when you're ahead of the game. You just want to keep going. I noticed that for every single task I completed, I wanted to complete another one. Because as a result of those tasks, I got more energy. I derived energy from them. Just as I derive energy from talking to people, from spending time with people. These are things that I just wasn't able to do when I was in that room all the time. I had no connections back in Kentucky. No one to talk to. No one to tell me, hey, maybe you should write something, or maybe you should do this, do that. No one I felt obligated to, so I definitely wasn't cleaning, and the more messy your house is, the more depressed you're gonna be. And it was just this self-imposed, well, I say self-imposed, but really it was a combination of self-imposed and outside factors imposed cycle. I just kept fucking going. Rotting away, feeling like I had nothing to live for. I come out here, I give myself a chance. He gives me a chance. And it seems day by day, more and more I'm flourishing. I'm on the trajectory to become my best self. And as such, I don't see myself engaging in the kinds of instability I was back in Hopkinsville. I don't see myself blowing up at my friends and having my friendships teetering on ending. I don't see myself expressing the same sort of flagrant desperation or cruelty I once was, out of sheer boredom, out of a sense that nothing is enjoyable in my life. I came here over a month ago, and every single day I've had something to do. My mind has been occupied. Physically, I've been occupied. There's never not something for me to do. And I found that the more things that I do, the more things I want to do. It just took that initial push, being here for just long enough to be able to feel things again, that I started feeling like things are okay. You start having an income of your own. You start having a life of your own. And then you can take in a lot of the beauty around you, like this right here. This is quite a steep... Is that a spider? No, that's not a spider. This is quite a steep hill we're up here, so we're going to have to maneuver a bit. But let's maneuver a bit. Follow me. I don't know if these are poison. I literally have no idea what these are. So you and I are gonna find out together, I guess. Shotgun shells. Osaka gets killed by poison ivy on the Prairie. We out here. We're doing things. We're going on a steep ass hike. Look how fucking steep this is. I feel like I'm in. Yo, is that orange moss? That's fucking orange moss, bro. That's incredible. We're going on a steep ass hike. You know, Karesu warned me about coming up to this place. It's incredibly fucking steep. Silence on the Prairie. You gotta give yourself a chance in this world. You don't give yourself a chance, who's going to give you a chance? I mean, I was lucky enough that someone gave me a chance when I hadn't even given myself a chance. But I had to give myself one by coming here. Imagine if I shot myself when I was back in Hoptown. Or hell, if I successfully overdosed like I tried to a little after I first got here. Wouldn't be able to see shit like this. Look at how beautiful this is. It's fucking immaculate out here. And with that in mind, I wouldn't have been able to write all the videos I've been writing. I really thought my ability to write was dead. Dead in the water, gone. I thought I'd never be able to write something again. Let alone something good again. I come out here just a little after being here. I'm writing all the time. That best self is starting to come out again. That best self that I was on the trajectory to, despite the fact that every obstacle that could possibly be in the way was in the way. I tried every single day to be a better person in spite of my circumstances back in Hoptown and back in Tennessee and every other state I've lived in. But at some point, you give so much you can't give anymore. And I thought that was the end for me. I thought I couldn't bounce back, like I couldn't adapt. But it turned out the worst circumstances were just bringing out the worst in me. And now, things couldn't be any better as far as circumstances. And they're bringing out the best in me. And they're only going to continue to foster more growth, to facilitate more growth. I'm only going to facilitate and foster more growth. Because I'm in a place where I can. I really tried with everything I could to keep up and hold up where I was before. It's honestly a miracle that I did for as long as I did. But something's got to give at some point. And that's what I saw happen over 2020 and 2021. I had to go. And now I'm here and it's like all I can think of is go, go, go. I just do things. I'm never not in that mindset of always doing things. When I don't have things to do, I give myself a task. Or I ask my roommate, hey, do you have something for me to do, please? Or just give me something to do. All I want to do is do things. And really, that's the person I always was. I remember times in my life when I was like that. Before my circumstances got worse and they literally took the soul out of me. But now, here I am. Here I am. I'm ready. for whatever life has in store for me. Everything's gonna be okay, I think. Or, even if it gets significantly worse tomorrow, it's just another story to tell, really. I mean, I've considered the scenario. Now, what if I lose my job? What if my roommate I'm living with won't give me the adequate time to find another one? Then what happens? I go to a homeless shelter or rehab or stay in a tent. I get another job. Get my own place eventually. Maybe rely on or ask for help from another friend. I'd find something. I'd do something. I always find and do something. I'm not like a lot of the people I've met from the internet, who, the moment their plan changes at all, they freak out. They break down. They cry. They don't know what to do. I always thought that was pathetic. I mean, if I'm being really blunt here, I thought it was pathetic. And it was hard not to say that to these people. Because I've gone my whole life having to adapt to the worst possible circumstances. And I survived then. There's no reason I wouldn't be able to survive now. I'm away from that place. Even if things got inextricably worse tomorrow, the only way for me is up. The only way I've been going is up. I didn't know. I didn't know God had more in store for me like this. But it looks like I'm on the right track again. I feel like a lot of the videos I've made since coming here have basically just been White Pill Wyoming. I mean, that was the title I made of the vlog, but it has just been White Pill Wyoming. There's been 2 videos that have been sad. The story of my enslavement was pretty sad, but I think it had optimistic implications at its core, even if it were not taking an overt stance in a things are going to be good or things are going to be bad direction. I kind of imply both. And usually when media implies both, my first assumption is to think that, well, obviously the better one is going to come true. That's what I've thought for myself, even when I haven't thought that for myself. Or else I wouldn't be alive, I've come pretty close, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have some, at least residual belief in myself underneath the surface. Why else would I have kept going? But beyond that, and the sort of graveyard poet video I made where I talked about the gas prices and the futility of romance, things have been pretty white-pilled on this channel since coming here. And you can easily see why, given the fact that I'm productive all the time now, I'm social. These are things that generally human beings need. And I've always been weary of ought statements because they're so prevalent in our society. Everyone wants a broad heuristic they can apply across the board. For so long, I was obsessed with this 0.1% of people who were a genuine exception, usually due to some maladaptive change, let's say, to the general populace. But the thing is, you and I are not that special. You watching this video and me making this video are not that special. We're people, at the end of the day, like everyone else, and we have generally similar desires to everyone else. The gradients in that, the differences in that can be explored, but fundamentally, we're talking about the same thing, albeit in different ways. And I found, for myself, this is pretty. I think there's gonna be a bear up there or something. I don't want to get mauled by a bear. If I had a gun, I'd happily take my chances. However, I am not armed at the moment. Anyway, you know. You and I, not that special at the end of the day. Very focused on walking because this is a steep hill and I do not want to fall flat on my face. I've been hiking for a long ass time, that's why I'm out of breath. Jesus. At the end of the day, you and I aren't that special. And I wanted to believe that having a messy room was going to fix my depression, or not even that it made me feel better, just that I uniquely was suited for it. Like things would be worse if they weren't bad in this particular way. Which is kind of the lazy answer that I defaulted to for so many things that I didn't want to change about myself. I found comfort in the familiarity and then found so many justifications for my own bad habits that I refused to change. I wouldn't clean as much as I should have. I wouldn't be as social as I should have. I wouldn't be as productive as I should have. And these were all things that I had some manner of justification for, much of which was related to this YouTube channel, expressed in this YouTube channel. I have to be an interesting person, I thought, when in reality, everyone has value just for being a person. But Osaka, if not an interesting person, then at least I have to have content, right? I have to say something, I have to do something. Well, you're getting in slightly better of a direction with that one. It is always good to make something and to turn your time into something productive. However, having a completely unproductive life that you express on YouTube or make content about is kind of a cop-out. For one, that's a cow that you can only milk for so long. Two, it kind of makes you a one-trick pony. You don't have much going on if that's your whole gimmick. Not to say that was my whole gimmick. I've always had a pretty diverse channel, but like, you know. Oh fuck. Jesus fucking Christ, gunshots. Okay, at least it's going that direction, not this direction. You know? Basically what I'm saying is I found a lot of ways to be lazy, and that wasn't fulfilling for my life. Even like nonsense videos like this, it's better than doing nothing. Which, I mean, it's like at least I had my wits about me to keep that about myself. But there's only so long you can do that in adverse circumstances. So I had this thought about people in different circumstances, and those different circumstances bringing out different aspects of their character, um, and how nobody is really good or bad at their core. Like, there are certain predispositions someone might have in this or that direction, but those can be played into or uh, furthered depending on the circumstance. So it's basically a balance. For every very positive state someone can enter, positive trajectory someone can potentially go on, there's an equally negative trajectory or state they can go on slash in. And depending on the circumstances, this best or worst side of the person can be brought out. This is why people tend to say, no one is wholly good or evil, or, put someone in a certain situation and see how they react, because the situation you're in can bring out the best or worst of a human. And I think this is something tragically missing from the conversation about good or bad people, is just how reliant we are on our circumstances, especially consistent circumstances. Someone may be morally good in a very, very fucked situation for a while, but keep them in that situation and you're going to see the worst of them come out. I think this is basically what happened to me as a result of social anhedonia, being alone for most of my life, being in that room for longer and longer and longer. Eventually, I just started going nuts. My executive functioning took a major hit, as I've seen drastically, exponentially improve since coming here. My motivation took a major hit. Um, Social skills, generally becoming a worse person to be around in just about every sense. And I'm not blaming the people who no longer want to talk to me as a result of certain unscrupulous behaviors I engaged in at those times, but I am using this platform as a way of explaining myself, to people who may find themselves in a similar situation. It's not forever. And you can't let the people who tell you you're never going to change or improve hold you down. Because you can always change and improve. And the more that you allow your identity, your trajectory to be reliant on those people, the more you're going to fall into a state of learned helplessness. The more you're going to think, well, I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do. I'm stuck here. This is the way that I am, and this is the way I'll always be. It's not true. You are the determinant factor in your own life, and you can just as easily choose to change as you can to lay down and rot. I could have laid down and rotted by staying in Kentucky, staying in that house, not looking for a job each day, not socializing each day, not working on creative projects each day as I do now. I could have continued to get worse, but I chose the opposite. I chose to drag myself kicking and screaming here to live a better life, to invest in myself, to believe in myself, even when I didn't. And as a result, I've seen these behaviors that these people who no longer talk to me would commonly ascribe to me dissipate. They're gone. Those characteristics are not characteristic of me, rather, much the opposite. I see myself behaving in entirely productive ways each day, ganbareing on each day, doing as much as I possibly can to feel a sense of productivity, because in circumstances that bring out my best, that's the person I am. I'm the person who always wants to be rushing with that go, go, go mentality, doing more and more work each day. Because the motto that I ascribe to is don't stop when you're ahead of the game. I don't just do what's required of me, I go above and beyond, because I've found that in circumstances with people I can be honest with people I am honest with, there's a certain implicit social contract that I abide by that motivates me to do better at every turn. And it's that social interaction that really imbues uh, the everyday things that I do in life with a certain pleasure, um, that allows me to feel positive emotions, satisfaction, fulfillment, however you want to spin it, from doing things. Um, and having that support network in close proximity is deeply important for me, to be able to do things, because a lot of the things that I do are motivated out of a sort of respect for those around me. That's how I derive fulfillment or pleasure from those things. Um, and seeing that social anhedonia dissipate, um, seeing that general anhedonia and instability dissipate, um, watching myself become a much more productive person, has been really eye-opening for me, because it shows that it really is circumstance. You know, if you're surrounded by people who don't want to take matters into their own hands, don't want to improve their own life, you're going to become more like those people. If you're in circumstances that only produce stress and misery, then it's going to be a lot harder to do things. If you're like me, and a lot of your motivation and your happiness is derived from communal bonds, then not having those communal bonds, especially for a prolonged period of time, is going to make making decisions, positive decisions for your own life, a hell of a lot more difficult. It's a miracle that I got as much done for as long as I did in that environment where I had no people, given these proclivities I have, these predispositions I have, this personality I have. It shows how strong the human spirit really is at the end of the day, that I continued to make decisions to be someone harnessing my own agency in those circumstances. However, that can't last forever. You can only go so far with agency, when you're in circumstances that drain you in every sense, that continue to be a drain on you. That's how the sociological reality of things, plays into all of this, which is something, we can't deny, because humans don't exist in a vacuum. Um, I took myself out of that at the end of the day, though, and my best self seems to be coming out each and every day. I'm on that trajectory. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm making it. And that's something you can only really do if you put yourself in circumstances that facilitate those kinds of changes. If you facilitate those kinds of changes, um, insofar as you put yourself in that environment, and then act on uh, on the way that environment positively encourages you. It's all about finding your thing, the thing that works best for you, and getting into that kind of feedback loop. But it exists on a continuum, because just as well, you could put yourself in circumstances that only negatively encourage you, only push you further down the hole. And being cognizant of that is of the utmost importance when considering all of this.
You got it?
Yep.
There you go. I'm gonna go a bit closer.
All right.
Alright. You could stand like right behind that rock.
Yep.
Right? The casings are gonna come out, right?
Okay.
So just, try not to get peppered by them. But you're good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Alright, you're good to go. Alright, you're empty.
Oh.
That's it.
Yep.